to the Great Eastern Railway, where autumn has truly kicked in. So the purpose of this video is to show you everything we're trying to achieve this winter. We've just started up a Facebook page, which the link will be below, and I'll also pop it on the screen. So I'm trying to give you an idea. A number of you have asked of what we're trying to achieve, what's left to do. So that's the purpose of this video, is to show you everything we've got left to do. If anybody's interested and in the local area, do feel free to contact us via the Facebook page and see if you want to get involved. The problem is we've just moved into tier 2 here, so there is limited ability for us to be able to do that. So we'll have to see how everything progresses, but I'll be able to keep you up to date with everything we do achieve via these videos, and you can see what's going on. So the only thing I've achieved so far is actually just getting the lights installed like that, on and like that through the shed. So that's the only thing we've achieved so far, but it's a start. So the biggest project this winter is overhauling the steam engine. Now there's quite a bit that needs doing. As you can see, the paint is not in the best of conditions. It needs a good clean up, a repaint. The other thing I also want to do is give the boiler a good clean out, good wash out, more than just your usual wash out. So I'll do a video showing you how we do that. And there's also a bit of an issue in the smoke box, so we're going to have a look at that. Now the other problem with the steam engine is that the boiler washout plugs are right underneath here, and they're actually off the firebox. So the firebox is in there, right at the back there. They're off the side on both sides, but they're right behind these tanks. So the only way that you can possibly do a washout is to take the tanks off. Now that's perfectly doable, but it makes it very difficult if you're using it regularly. Every time you go to do a washout, you've got to take the tanks off to make it nice and easy. So best way that we have looked at and we've come up with is to basically slightly change the shape of the tanks, thus making access a lot easier, but still trying to keep its lines and still keeping it looking just as good. So the electric loco, Ian, it's been an absolute godsend for us this year. It works every time perfectly, can't fault it at all. But he does just need a little bit of TLC. One of the locks is slightly busted on the door. A little bit of paint could be worked on. And also I want to put in a charging point, which will make it a lot easier to charge. Currently you have to lift the bonnet up to charge it, which isn't a problem, apart from the fact that when you lift it up, obviously that takes up more room, and we're a little bit constrained for room in here. So if you want to keep it dry, it's not very easy to get it charged. So we're going to fit a charging point to make it a lot easier to do that. So the ride-on coach, it's okay, but it could be a lot better. There's a number of improvements we can make. Just sitting down on it, you can probably hear it just creaks a little bit. So just getting that a bit better would be one thing. But the ride of it isn't great. It's very temperamental. There isn't a lot of play in the bogies, so that makes it difficult. If you have any form of undulation in the track, it will find it and it will enjoy derailing on it. We also need to just improve the vacuum braking system, so I'll do a little bit of work on that, and just get it a little bit better. Maybe another coat of paint, a few cushions installed, just that sort of thing, just making it a nicer coach to ride in, just making it feel a lot more safer and secure and solid. Coming over onto the articulated coaches, they've been fantastic as well. They've ridden perfectly. They don't seem to have any sort of temperamental issues with going over over any sort of track, so that's fantastic. They are a bit worse for wear, so we need to do a bit of work on that, give them a paint job and just overall get them looking a bit nicer. The couplings at both ends have a few issues. They are originally sprung. What they were meant to do was clamp on to each other. They're a different form of coupling. Rather than having a bar in between which allows flexibility, they're originally meant to clamp, and therefore it would be a solid coupling. Therefore the flexibility would be in either end. So what we need to do is get a coupling bar that goes between the two ends which doesn't give any flexibility, and Stewie's been working on that and has come up with a design which seems to work really well. So we're just going to take that design forward, make it in some really solid metal, and hopefully that'll do the job. The other problem with these coaches are they are not braked. So in regular service, I'm only using them at the moment with the electric loco because that has a very solid braking system. But obviously, should for any reason they become detached from the loco, that could cause a problem, because a runaway train wouldn't have any brakes to sort them out. So that's an issue. Now the ideal system would be to apply vacuum brakes. The problem is the bogies won't take the vacuum brakes. So out of the options of replacing the bogies or going down the route of sticking a brake van on, the cheaper route's going to be to stick a brake van on. So you'd have a guard in a small single person carriage at the end which has a full braking system attached to it. So you've got the engine at one end with its brakes, you've got the guard at the other end with the brakes, and you're pretty much covered from any form of issue in that basis. So that's the route we're going to take. So we're going to build a guards van that's going to have full brakes, and we'll do the job from that point of view. Into the workshop now, and as I may have mentioned before, this is the chassis for our second ride-in carriage. So we're going to be building that throughout the winter, probably work on the one we've already got first, and our lessons that we learn from that will then work on building this one to the standard we really want it to be built at. Here are the parts of the next loco I'm looking to build. So this will be the last of the 3 locos we'll have. The difference with this loco is it's going to be petrol electric. So it's going to be electric powered motors on the bogies, and they're going to be powered from a petrol generator. Now the purpose of that is that that petrol generator is going to then be able to power other vehicles in the train. So what I'm going to have is another wagon that I'm also going to build this winter, and the purpose of that wagon is that it's going to have electric power that I can plug power tools in, and that means that it's a full works train, and that can be taken around the railway and used to do whatever maintenance is required as we go around the railway, and it means we have a mobile generator constantly with us. Quite a lot of work still to be done in the station. First thing we need to do is the signals. You'll see that we've actually put in a series of pulleys here, so that part's done. We now just need to get the pulleys to go all the way back down to the other end where we've got the levers. So this needs painting. As you can see, it's still got all the coverings on it, etc. So we need to get those all off, get it painted, but then we also need to get it all boxed in, because at the moment it's a bit of a death trap with wires everywhere, etc. So that all needs to be boxed in nicely, so it's all nice and safe for everyone to be about. So everything's pretty much done here with the water tank, but it does just need a little bit of neatening up with the pointing. Coals in, so that's all there, nice and ready for service. Fence needs painting. I also have some old-fashioned steam age adverts that we can get screwed onto here, and also we're missing a couple of station signs which would be lovely to get in place. Turntable's pretty much fine as it is. We'll probably need a little bit of touch up of paint by the time we get to the spring, so we'll get that done then. The base and the circle and the rail around will all probably just need a little bit of altering. I'm sure there'll be a bit of movement, just like with the rest of the track over the winter, so we'll just make sure the levels are all fine and just get it perfect again, ready for the summer. The gap between these two rails here and here, they're starting to splay, which is what I thought would happen. So what we're going to do is get them fixed a bit better so that they can't splay anymore. At the moment they're fine, no real issue, but there is just a small increase in the gauge width there, so we just need to get that fixed. Not a massive job. The last job that we need to do at the moment, we're having to manually move it, and you can see it's getting a bit stuck, so needs a bit of grease, but that's going to happen over the winter. But we're having to manually shove these back and forth. Now there is a hole here, and the purpose of that hole is so that you can put something that you can move them with. So as simple as a piece of rope through, but I want to do something a little bit nicer and have a little pulley that you can pull them out from. So this is an old bench that I found and is perfect for a station bench. You can see here the metalwork, very reminiscent of a station bench. It's not obviously exactly the same, and usually a station bench would have the crest moulded in metal, generally about here. I've got a picture of an old GER one, which would obviously be absolutely perfect. But I think painted in the right colours, so with the blue and red, this will at least look something like the original style, and we can put it here, and that should then do the job. Does need quite a bit of work on it though. The metal needs to be taken down to its original and then primed and painted to get it back to where it should be. We'll be able to use the same colours that we're going to use on the steam engine to do that, because that'll be a similar sort of blue and red, so that should do the job. The wood is obviously a bit rotten, well, more than a bit rotten, so that needs replacing, but that shouldn't be a difficult job at all. As you can see, this bit is all still a bit of a mess. We're going to get this tidied up. We're going to get brick lining down either side, get the ballast, the remaining ballast in, freshen up all the ballast that is here, try and get a few drainage points as well, and just try and get this all looking a bit nicer and in keeping with the rest of the railway. So the cutting, as you can see, is a bit of a mess, and we just need to get it tidied up, get rid of the weeds, get everything looking a lot nicer. The idea was to have a bit of meadow grass, plant some bulbs around here just so it looks a bit prettier, and just get at least some grass to cover up the bare bank. So at the moment, as you can see behind me, the whole paddock is very open, and although it's a nice route to drive around on the train, it doesn't actually give a lot of interest with regards the route. You can see where you're going the whole time, and I always like a railway that somehow you feel you're not quite sure where you're going. So whether it's you're going between hedgerows or going through a forest or whatever it might be, it's always nice not to be able to see the whole journey ahead of you. So what we're going to try and do is get quite a few trees planted, get a few bushes in, etc., just to try and break up the paddock, just so that it adds a bit of interest to the route. Weeds. Weeds are a problem for a railway of this size. As you can see, a weed like this is not only coming over the railway, but its roots are going to be completely digging into the ballast, making it unstable, loose, etc. And that is just an issue. So apart from the fact they're just ugly, we've got to keep on top of them, keep getting rid of them. So that's what we'll be doing throughout the winter, is constantly giving it a case of weeding and weed killer, just so that we can try and keep on top of it. So once we have got through the main of winter, had all the heaviest rainfall, etc., what you will find is that the track will have become very uneven over the winter. The earth moves, all earth moves constantly. Water flows, etc., constantly move the earth below. Now, even though there is a very good depth of hardcore below this, there still will be an element of movement. All railways move, it's just how it happens. Now, the only thing you can really do is each year refresh the ballast, go along, lift the track, get fresh ballast underneath it, and get the track back levelled, etc. Tamp down the ballast, which is when we slam the ballast in underneath and around the sleepers to hold them. And each year that fresh element of ballast just constantly firms everything up. So we'll have to do it this year, a big load of ballast, dump it all along the track and dig it in underneath it. Get it all level, and it should be lovely again for the majority of the summer. And this is where the petrol electric loco is going to really come in, because if we can get that around, get an electric tamper that we can plug into the wagon behind the loco and use that to do all the tamping of the ballast, effectively a bit like pneumatic drill going in and out of the ballast, loosening it so it falls in and underneath the sleepers. If we can get that in place, that's going to be perfect. It's going to be exactly what we need, and it's going to save hours of very painful back labour. So this is where I want to put the intermediate station. It's going to be just before the hill back up there, and it's before the slow rise back round the other way, so it's a nice place for the engine to rest, etc. You've also got the playground there, so it gives access to the playground, and there's the potential to put a nice few trees along there, put a bit of grass in, use those pallets there to make a little play area as well, use them, recycle them to do that. So hopefully it would just be a nice area for people to come to. So thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and come and find us on the Facebook page. If you've got any queries, do ask, and hopefully we'll be able to have many videos over the winter showing you how things have progressed.